Italian fighter Angela Carini abruptly withdrawing from her match against Algeria's Aman Khalid after just 46 seconds and some hard punches. Khalid's participation in the women's matches has been under renewed scrutiny. She was disqualified from last year's World Championships after the International Boxing Association said she failed a gender eligibility test. The International Olympic Committee saying this morning that all the athletes in the tournament comply with the competition's regulations. Hey,
that's interesting. So, she was disqualified for failing an unidentified test, because we still don't know what this test actually was. What did she fail, right?
The Olympic boxing match that's turned into a big worldwide controversy, I think everyone's just got it wrong, all right?
Oh, you talk about you talk about the trans girl no, man, that was crazy. This trans woman was allowed to compete.
Okay, so they're not trans. They've never been trans. They've never identified as anything other than what they've been. They were born a female, and then they were raised as a female.
But they failed a gender test.
We'll get to all of that.
Testosterone.
We'll get all that. Let's give you the context. Okay, so the context is there's a boxing match that just happened at the Olympics in which an Italian fighter fought an Algerian fighter, and the Italian fighter, after one round, basically withdrew from the fight.
46 seconds.
That's crazy.
And said, I'm not going to keep fighting. According to her, it felt very IBA, which is the International Boxing Association, in 2023 for failing a gender test. And everyone went, oh my God. The IOC affirms the fact that this person is a female, always has been, and everyone is now talking about this.
So there's no transition here.
All right. There's never been a transition. Okay, this person was not born anything other than what they are. What has essentially happened is that the IBA disqualified them. Now, some people aren't aware, but the IBA is a Russian-led organization that's been at odds with the IOC for quite some time, and then in 2019 was stripped of its ability to govern over boxing matches and be seen as like a subsidiary of the IOC. The reason why is IOC, International Olympic Committee, normally defers to certain bodies to manage regional and international competitions, and based off who wins from that, those athletes get to go to the Olympics, okay? Because obviously the IOC can't manage swimming, sports vaulting, so they defer to other organizations. And the IBA used to be that organization until it was stripped of it for not providing good financial reports, for basically sketchy behavior in a lot of other realms in terms of decisions, and not having rigorous systems set in place. So they got stripped of that. They kept running events, and a lot of boxers participated. And at one such event where there was an undisclosed test, essentially there was some gender abnormalities, but we don't know what that means. And there's no assertion that these people are trans from any of the bodies involved. That's something that the internet has taken and ran with. But that's not the case. There's a possibility that either of these two athletes could be intersex, but we don't know. And intersex,
and honestly, we may never know truthfully unless they tell us. Because you're not gonna get their medical records, right? From my understanding, no one actually knows the full answer to that question yet. Yeah. But if she's born, even if she has an XY chromosome, right? Because that's the argument going around now, right? It's like, well, if she's got an XY chromosome, then she's a male. Even if she's got all female parts, she's getting the testosterone. It's like, well, this is a tricky subject, right? Because if someone is actually, despite that, you can't see chromosomes, right? So if your body is abnormal in a manner that you have, that it's behaving opposite from the chromosomes that you have, right? So she's got female genitalia and an XY chromosome. So what do you do with that? Is that a man or is that a woman? Mm-hmm. If you raise that person as a woman their whole life, and so they're a woman, they think they're a woman, they act like a woman, then you get to a situation like this. What do? You can't. Could you really call her a male? Is that the only thing that is the chromosome setup? The only thing that matters, right? Is she able to have children? Unclear, right? Does she have a uterus? Unclear, right? But if she does have all those things and they work, the only difference is that she's got an XX chromosome and too much testosterone. Mm-hmm. How do you argue that she's not allowed to compete as what she was born as, right? Like, this isn't the same argument as you can't be born as one thing and become another. Right. And then fight in that category. That's not what this is. She is that. Yeah. Or rather, you're going to have to tighten up how you define that. Yeah. Or the other option is to say, well, you're neither. You're intersex. which is a
Basically
technical
both.
term, right? So if you're intersex, then we ban you from competing at all.
But that would suck.
That would suck because you were born as what you were born as, right?
Like you said.
Right.
She is.
But that's something similar they tried to do to one of these. It was like some African runner like a couple years ago. She's a woman and like not intersex. She has XX chromosome and everything. It's just that her body produces way more testosterone than normal. That's an abnormality, right? So I heard someone argue, and this makes good sense to me, right? That Usain Bolt is fucking long ass legs. He's tall. It's an abnormality. Abnormality. Most people aren't that tall, right? Michael Phelps has like weird feet and like long ass weird limbs. That's why he's able to swim that fast and win all them gold medals, right? That's a physical abnormality that everybody doesn't have. That gives you an advantage. How arguably is that any different than being fully a woman, but your body's giving you the testosterone juice from birth? Like arguably, how is that factually any different, right? Because you're still for the runner, I'm saying, right? I did because currently one of the criteria they use to find out whether you're allowed to fight with the women is if how much testosterone you have, right? But she is a woman; she just has too much testosterone. So arguably, is that something that you're allowed to take away from her, or tell her she gotta take blockers or something? Is that fair? Because you should be able to compete how you were born. Imagine you're born a certain way, and they're like, "Nah, you gotta make yourself more trash so these people could compete." How does that make sense?
Basically.
Right? So if you apply that same logic here, how is that any different? Right? Now, obviously, it is different because if she has an XY chromosome, that makes it slightly different. But yet, I don't see how that's necessarily defeats my argument, right? Because she's born as that. She didn't do anything to herself. So she should have to handicap herself to fight against you. Why is that? She's competed as a female boxer her entire career, and she's not undefeated.
And she can't fight men.
Right.
Because
They'll beat her ass, bro.
Even if she had extra testosterone in her and she can
That's not
punch
enough.
very hard, it's still not enough
And-
for her to match with a man.
Yeah. So, like, was she supposed to not fight?
Right. That's not fair.
Right. So, I mean, it's just a real interesting topic to look at, right? In that, let's get off the fact that, oh, she's trans. She's not, bro. She's not. So just stop that. Like, let's deal with the facts that we have here. You were born a woman, but your setup is a little strange. How strange do we let your setup be to compete with people also born women? Right? I think that's something that maybe has got to be examined a little closer. And maybe with respect to intersex people, it would be on a case-by-case basis. Where depending on what it is, like you're born a woman, but you have some things from men that might give you an advantage, like testosterone, or you're mad tall or whatever. Which things do we allow you to keep? And which things do we say that this is too far? Right? Is it a level of testosterone? Is it a level of muscle mass? Like what is it? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's more discussions need to be had. But based on the rules that currently exist, she's within the rules. She beat up Shorty, she quit. That's it. There's nothing else to say. Right? Oh yeah, and another thing. Y'all know she from Algeria, right? Ain't that one of them countries where they don't even let you be LGBT? Huh? Ain't that one of them countries where you do that shit and throw rocks at you and shit?
Is it?
It is. I know it is. Google Algeria, bruh. You cannot do that over there. So to think that the Algerians sent a trans person to represent them at the Olympics? You didn't think that went all the way through, did you?